girl, Lauren Lacson, the precise and prestigious Lauren Lacson. She is an experienced and innovative communications professional. She's passionate about effective corporate communication as a means to build trust, influence, perception, and create lasting relationships. Her experience ranges from journalistic reporting, social media strategy and communication training to video editing and web design. So you're not going to miss out today. She's going to be schooling us up on a couple tips. If you're getting into your editing game, whether it's writing or whether it's video editing or you just want to do some graphic design, you're not going to miss out today. It's going to be killer. She's going to give us a 3, 2, 1. It's going to up your game. So make sure you stick in. Before we move on to her, I do want to let you know that next weekend or next Tuesday, we're going to be hanging out with the college stars. Jamie and Carlene are going to be on here. They're going to be talking about the pitfalls of relationships, the hopes of relationships, guides, all these really cool tips and tricks for you. So you aren't going to want to miss out next week. These two are for real. They're on it. I was watching their video cast that they do on weekends. You should catch it on Saturdays, and it was killer good. I know you're going to really enjoy it next week, especially if you're in a relationship or if you're just thinking about relationships. This is a great one you want to catch next week. And before I get over to my girl Lauren, I want to say what's up to all of you out there watching, wishing you guys a great Tuesday. I want to send our fair love and prayers up to the Napa Valley, up to Angwin. We know that there are more fires happening up there, and we're praying for the residents as well as all of our firefighters. If perchance you happen to Lauren Laxon.
Hey, hey.
What is good, my friend?
Good to see ya.
It is so good to see you. I act like we don't see each other fairly frequently because we do work together. We're always usually catching up either on Zoom or doing some kind of project. But what's going on? How are you doing, Lauren?
Doing good. We're getting through this COVID. We're using it as a time to be creative, innovate,
Yes.
work together, and we're getting through it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Laxon is an interesting last name, Lauren. I mean, you look more like an Anderson or a Smith to me.
Yeah.
So, are you like ethnic and I didn't know about it?
Not the case. I am as I look. My maiden name will tell you that, but all thanks to my husband for that one.
Right on, right on. Let's give a shout out to your husband, Ryan. Giving Ryan some love out there, Ryan Laxon. So you're married. That's important to know.
Yes.
You're young adult, professional, married. How long you been married now, homie?
Coming up on 2 years in November.
Woo! 2 years. Yes,
Yeah.
my friends. I am with the precise Lauren Laxon, who is married of 2 years to the great genius himself, Ryan Laxon. She is our communications director for Southern California Conference. Lauren, today, what are you drinking?
So today I'm drinking some vanilla,
Vanilla.
some rooibos tea.
Oh, rooibos tea.
Rooibos tea, it is vanilla bean.
Wow, I'm gonna pretend like I know what rooibos is. Um, do you know what rooibos is?
So I'm not like a tea aficionado, but what I'll say is that I think it's kind of like a black tea, but it's like caffeine-free black tea almost.
Okay,
So yeah, I don't know if it's like going toward herbal, but it's kind of like a black tea taste. So
interesting. I know nothing of tea. Obviously, a few weeks ago, I had the fantastic Kevin Wilson on here, and I kept
hmm.
asking him what chai tea was, and he finally said, "Hey, listen, stop saying chai tea because chai means tea." So
uh,
yes, so he schooled me up, and then I made that mix that he told me to make. And Lauren, let me tell you, it was horrible.
uh,
Never again. But that was not because of Kevin Wilson. To just put out there for in case any of you thinking he is
yeah,
as good as he says he is. It
yeah.
was because I had no idea, and I didn't even have the right mix. I was just making things up. So, are you enjoying that tea?
Oh yeah, some soy milk in here makes it nice and creamy. It's a good one. Vanilla is one of my
Yes.
favorites, so it works out.
Now, we use the term precise in the caption for our time together on tea time here,
Hmm.
but and it's a good one. It's a good one. I actually really like it because it's not my gift. But if you had to use an adjective for yourself, what would that be?
One that comes to mind, that's kind of stuck with me throughout the years is tenacious, actually.
Ooh, I like
Yeah.
that word.
I tend to, like, when I don't know something or how to do something, I tend to not give up. It's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, sometimes. But yeah, I tend to keep going. So,
Yo, so
yeah.
in high school, one of the words that our coach used to use all the time in our junior varsity was for us to be tenacious because he said we were lazy. He said, "You were playing lazy, be tenacious." And
Mm.
as a freshman, I had to go look up what that word meant because I was like,
Yeah.
what is tenacious? Is that like delicious? Because it rhymes.
Right.
And so I really like that term. So you're the kind of person
Mm.
who doesn't give up. Give us an example of something where you're just like, I'm going to drive this home. I'm going to do it. Let's go.
I mean, I think a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today fall under that. So, I
Mm,
mean, I think we'll get to that. But for example, I mean, video editing is one of the things I do a lot now. It's
yeah.
not necessarily something that I was trained in primarily. So when it comes to like a big project, I was like, I think we should start doing more video. I haven't really. So let me just open this program and figure it out and let me just do it.
Yeah.
And when the video is done, we'll get there. So I just go through it until it comes out. However long or whatever the process looks like, I'm going to learn it. So,
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's the way to do it. Kevin Kamado. Kevin, what's up, my dude? He said tenacious in tennis shoes. Oh, Kevin, I love that. I love that joke, Kevin. I'm gonna give you props for it. Okay, cool. So let me ask this. You are the communications director of Southern California Conference. By the way, my friends, if you're watching along, what's up to our guy, Philemon? Philemon is my pastor. That's my pastor. Thank you, Pastor, for joining us today. If you're watching along and you have a question for Lauren, I will stop talking and I will ask your question. So she's going to be going into some editing stuff and we're going to be talking about a bunch of things. But if you've got a question, ask us out. All right. Now, here we go. What is it exactly that you do?
I get that question a lot. Pretty much, it's telling everybody else about what we do is one of the main things. So, really finding every possible platform to tell the stories of what our churches are doing, what's going on here in Southern California, what kind of ministry are we doing, what are we passionate about in our churches, what difference are we making. So, I get the privilege of sharing that with everybody who might not be close enough to see it firsthand.
Mm,
So, that's one of the main things. And then internally, on the other side of it, helping our churches and our pastors, helping them to be equipped and all of the technical stuff, just trying to lend a hand and help them to move forward in that direction as well. So it's kind of a support angle on one side, and then maintaining our website, all that basic stuff. But on the other side, which really gets me passionate, is really sharing those stories.
wow. Man, it sounds like you've got to do a ton of different things on a ton of different levels. I mean, it sounds like you've got like at least a 10-person staff, huh?
If only.
If only. Is that the name of two of
If
your
only.
associates? If and only.
Not quite. No, it's just myself. No, what I will say is that myself and my associate Araya
Ah,
Moss, who joined us last year. So the two of us, I mean, we rock away at everything that's given to us. It is just the two of us. It sounds like a lot for two people, but we make a good team and we work with it. We do what we can.
I want to give a shout out to our girl Araya. Araya,
Yeah,
want to give you some love because she's like a silent killer, man. She's like,
yeah,
smooth and silent. She does a great work. I'm really glad you brought her on to the team. And she's a young adult as well.
yeah,
Not,
yeah,
uh, yeah, she's in her 20s, man. Raya's rocking, yo.
yeah. Yeah, we're
Fantastic.
blessed to have her for sure.
I was gonna straight put her age out there, and I was like, there's got to be something illegal about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's not do that. Let's not do that. Kevin asked a question. What has been the process of briding? Um, he meant bringing the SEC into the modern age. How's it going? And was there any pushback as you were trying to up everyone's game around here?
Yeah, there can be definitely at times, and I think we experience that. But one thing that I will say is I've experienced it on projects we've worked together. I think we've experienced it is that our administration is really open
Yes, they
and
are.
they
They
know where
rock.
we need to be. And
Woo.
so when we bring up something, they know that we might know how to get there.
Yeah.
They know where we need to go. So kind of bringing the two of those, they're really open. There sometimes is pushback, but we've worked on it together and gone forward. And they say, we recognize that it might be hard to go somewhere different than where we've always been and
Mm.
what we're used to and comfortable with. And so we recognize that challenge and we kind of address it and put it out there and say, this might be hard, but let's all come together in agreement, knowing this is where we need to go. So shout out to our administration for that.
Oh
We've had a
man, much
really
love.
good
Elino,
partnership.
Cress,
Yeah.
Lee, man, these guys are rocking, man. They really have a vision for our church and to gather our people together, man. Love to those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Um, what do you suppose is the power of communications? I know that you said, you've got two different functionalities here. You got two different functions that you do. But one of them, I'm just going to pause. Araya just put out there, not illegal, but inappropriate. The general in her 20s. Hi, guys. What is appropriate? And AB, Aguinaldo, says, hi,
Oh,
Lauren.
Amy.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice to
So,
see all you guys.
so there's two parts of your job, obviously, but one of them you said that you tend to favor more is the actual sharing of the stories. Lauren, what's the power in sharing a story?
So there's different, I guess, phases. So when something happens, a church has a super awesome community event, or somebody in the church, somebody walks in and their life is transformed, right? So there's
Mm,
all these different stories, but they're contained within our walls,
right,
right? So the stories happen, we experience them, and they're really powerful for the people who are there.
right.
But when we share those stories, the power of the experience, the power of the event, whatever happened, gets to spread farther. And people, it's kind of like a ripple effect. People get to feel the power of that story that happened elsewhere, and it touches them from a distance.
Mm,
That's one thing. The
mm,
second is that they can be inspired to replicate that experience and that power in their own context when they read about it. So
wow.
that's what's really powerful about sharing the stories. I mean, it happens to us, it happens around us, but
Yeah.
if we don't share it, it can kind of, dare I say, die there. It doesn't necessarily have the power to continue if we don't give it that.
Wow. So it basically it's the power of testimony, huh?
Oh, for sure.
Mm, 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 mm. So you're the one who shares the gospel of transformation in our local churches. Our local churches, if you're watching along, your story is powerful and meaningful, and Lauren wants to get a hold of that and share it with as many as possible. In fact, Lauren, I know that I didn't mention this earlier, but I wanted to pull up something that you are doing specifically, you and Araya. It's a campaign you're doing. Can we talk about that campaign? Because the power of that campaign is beautiful, and it really ties into testimony and sharing story, right? It's the
Oh,
Say
yeah,
Hello campaign. Can you share a
that's
little bit
right.
about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did sort of a soft launch a few months back, and we're trying to get this campaign off the ground. The mission of this campaign is to unite our conference family. So we're geographically smaller, I would say, than some other conferences, but we're so spread out at the same time when you think about what LA County in Southern California looks like. So some of our churches are more than an hour or hours from each other. And while that might not sound a lot, we don't necessarily connect or cross paths a lot. And
Shout out to
so
Ojai.
that's right. And the ministry being done there is valuable. And the
Yeah, absolutely.
testimonies that the members have are equally as valuable. So we want to be able to share those and spotlight individuals and just say, this is the story, this is the experience that I'm having right now, and kind of get each other acquainted across county lines, across different churches, across regions. We just want to kind of bridge that gap and just get each other acquainted and just say hello.
Yeah. So listen, if you're watching along and you're catching this and you we would love for you to share a say hello. And it's really easy. Lauren, what could they do to be able to send their, is it a story, a profile? What do they share when they give this to you? And how can they send it to you?
So it's kind of a profile. So there's a couple different ways to go about it. So we want to make it as easy as possible because we want you to share your story. So all of the information that you can possibly want about this campaign would be at our website, scc.adventist.org /say hello. And so you can go there. You'll find everything you need. We do have a button where you can go to a form, and we just have different questions. So you can go to that form, different questions, and we'll pull from your answers for the profile. You can also contact our department, communication at sccSDA.org. We can do it over the phone. We can kind of have a conversation and get your answers that way. But either way, we can connect, just our website /say hello, and we'll go from there.
Beautiful. And you know what? I think it's such a useful tool, especially since we can be more accessible to each other these days. Because not that I don't want to go to Antelope Valley, because there's amazing people that live up in Antelope Valley. But it's not like, every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to go up to Antelope Valley. But I'd love to hear from our peoples up there, because there's a great church up there. Pastor Morris is up there. They're doing great things at school. And so we'd love to hear from you all. So just go on to
.adventist.org.
and you'll be able to get a button there. You'll be able to push it. You'll be able to fill in some things, and you'd be able to tell and share your story. Sarah Grover's in the house. Sarah, what's up, my girl? And that's another place I wouldn't want to go to all the time. Not that I don't love Lancaster. My Lancaster SDA church, man, y'all rocking up there, but ain't nobody driving up there. You know a place is far in your conference when they've got a rest area on the way to the destination. So, listen, if you're checking this out and you're watching along, hey, pop on there and let's do this hello campaign. I'm going to start on our Tuesday Tea Time. I'm going to start posting out some of those hello campaign stories so that you can, as you're watching along, you're going to be able to meet some of the people from all over the place, because they're all over the place. Jolyn is asked a great question. She said she wants to learn how to write an article, a story for the Recorder or other publications. We're gonna touch up on that right on down the way here. So let's keep pushing. Thank you for that question. That's a good one. And we're gonna go in that direction. Before we do, Lauren, was this your dream job as a child? I mean, as a kid, were you like sitting around like, oh, I want to be the director of communication? What was it? Was this your dream
Took a different path there. But I was one of those kids who had, like, every year I had a new job that I wanted to have. So like my dream career changed like every year. So it went all over the place, but I don't know that it ever landed here.
Could you remember one particular job that was very clear in your head? You thought this is what you wanted to do. Was there one that stood up above the others?
One that I always remember, so I have a really deep love for animals. And so one that stood out when I was younger, I was like, I want to be a veterinarian. Like, I want to be with these animals all day. I want to like help them and all this stuff. And then I learned some of the deeper things that it entails, and I didn't think that I could do it. Didn't have it in me, but that was
and now
one
you're
that
editing
stuck there.
papers and
That's right. Yeah.
Very good. If someone were to tell you like your freshman year in college, as I'm thinking, if a freshman's watching this, because usually our freshman year, we don't know what in the world we want to be. We say we do, but we really don't if we're honest. That you would be the director of the communications for Southern California, that has something about 40K members and over 400 employees, a complex system, an education system. What would your response have been to them if they told you that was going to be your calling?
I would have been surprised. I would have been like, really? How do you know that? Because I wouldn't have expected it. I was one of those students where I didn't know what I wanted to do for a while,
Mm,
but my senior year of high school, it just clicked in my mind that journalism was what I wanted to study, which is what I got my undergrad in. So I knew communication, the field was somewhere where I wanted to go. Once I got into college, I was on that path, but getting a job like this wasn't probably something I expected. So I would probably, in true journalistic fashion, probably ask a bunch of questions. Like, how do you
too
know? Wait,
good.
when is this going to happen? What's the path going to look like? All that stuff.
So now that you're in this position, have you ever been overwhelmed by the task? It's a lot of work. We want to be able to uplift and we want to empower all of our local churches because all of them are doing something special. God is using them in one way or another. We all look a little bit different from each other. So it's got to be a big task, right? Have you ever been overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work it takes to do communications in Southern California?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There are moments where it just hits me where I realize sort of the weight of the job that I have, and I definitely realize that and take that for what it is, for the
Mm.
importance that it carries. And so it definitely hits me. I think about some of the other people who have held this job in other areas, and even my predecessor, Betty Cooney, who has held
Betty,
this job
shout
for a
out to
long
Betty
time,
Cooney.
right?
I don't know if you're
I
watching
love
Betty, but we
her.
love you, girl.
Yeah, and she's great. I got to work with her for a bit, and so I just think about some of the different people who have held this job and really what it entails, and I definitely feel the gravity of that.
How do you deal with it when you get into that kind of overwhelming pressure? And I ask this question because I know that many people have to deal with anxiety or stress or being overwhelmed by even just the situation we're in today, right? How do you deal with all of that?
So for me personally, I don't know if we're going to get into this later, if this is
Mm,
going to touch on any other questions, but for me personally, when I think about that, the path that kind of led me to this point in my life, I feel like God really ordained a lot of different steps to have me take this job at this time. I feel like there's some things that He might have in front of me. So when I think about that, I'm like, I don't know that God would have given me a task that He didn't feel like I could do. And I'm not saying that
ooh,
I have all the best skills in the world, but that God couldn't do through me. So if He didn't think I could do it, or that He could at least use me, then He wouldn't have organized everything so that I could be here now. So when I think about that, I just think, I mean, maybe I can't, but God is working through me, and at every step, when there's a new skill or task or something that I need that I don't have, He gives it to me when I need it. So He definitely will equip for somebody else who might feel the same. He'll definitely equip you at the point where He calls you. So that's just what helps me to keep going.
ooh, everybody. Lauren, thank you so much. Preaching the word. Listen, you've got a God that wants to equip, and if He's put you there, He's going to get you through there. That's
That's right.
good. Yes, yes. And don't be afraid of failure either, man. Like,
Yeah.
if God put you in that place, you're going to either be able to do a great job or you're going to learn a lot. And I've been in situations oftentimes in my life where I've
Mhm.
been learning more than I've been succeeding. So,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
that's part
Yeah,
of the
that's a big
task.
thing.
Okay, so what does one do if they want to get your position? My girl Sarah Grover's on, another very successful, awesome, amazing young female who's in the ministry. She's pastoring up at Lancaster. Shout out to Sarah Grover. What if she's like, yo, I want Lauren's job? Like, how does one get to your position? How do you position yourself if you're a young collegiate or you're thinking about these things?
For myself, it was kind of like I alluded to, an interesting path that I had in my early career. And so, unfortunately, I don't have a simple, quick answer. This is what you do, this is what you do, and you get your
Right.
dream job, in that path or in that order. But I would just say trust the process. So for me, there was there were some things I wanted to do after college, a certain path that I wanted to take, and God didn't open any doors. He closed a bunch. And so I was like,
Mm.
man, Like, I know the job market's hard, but I want to go this certain way. And so I was like, well, I very begrudgingly, I was like, okay, I guess I'll just widen my net. I really want this one thing, but I'll look at other things, I guess. And so he kind of used that to take me somewhere that I didn't really plan on going, that brought me here, I think. So I would just say trust the process. If a certain way is not opening up, don't force it, but just allow God to take you where he needs you.
Awesome. And has there been any extra workload because you're so I don't even know, are there other female directors in communications in North America anywhere in any other conference? And you're also a young adult, so I don't know if that's, shout out to our conference, they be hiring a bunch of young adults to do a bunch of stuff.
That's right.
While loving on and supporting their even more seasoned ministers, administrators.
That's right.
So what a great balance.
Yeah, yeah, amen. Our conference is super supportive in that way all around. I know of other female colleagues that I have in my position. There are others that I know, like around my age, not necessarily in the same position, but we definitely have a good communication community around North America. In terms of like my exact situation, to my knowledge, it's a little bit unique.
Very good. Okay, so we're at the 3-2-1. My friends, if you are watching along, I am with Lauren Lacson, the Director for Communications in Southern California Conference. We are going to be talking about some more things. We're going to talk about her journey, and we're going to talk about communications. And if you have a question, I want you to post it up. We're about to do a thing I call 3-2-1, where I'm going to ask her to give us 3 tangible tips that you can use like immediately, and then 2 tangible tips on something else that you can use immediately, and then 1 tangible tip or hack that you can use immediately to up your game in different areas. Just before we do, I thought Jolene asked a good question, and so in fear of maybe not getting around to it, Lauren, I want to ask that to you right now. She said that she submitted pictures, but kind of unsure how to word the story like a newspaper. Any tips
Sure.
you can give her right off the bat?
So a couple things that that I see often when it comes to journalistic writing that may not be commonly understood, I guess. So a couple things when it comes to journalistic news writing that you're going to want to do. Never write in the first person. So I see a lot of people writing or submitting articles that kind of look like a blog post. Like, you know, my church had this great event and stuff like that. That's not necessarily journalistic. So try to think about third person, you know, such and such church had this event on this day, very objective. So not obvious in the writing that you're part of the story, if you are. And also something that we don't often see is include at least quotes from at least 2 people. So sometimes we see people, they wrote the entire story and then their name is the byline, but nobody else is really involved. So so make sure to ask, maybe if it's a church event, your pastor, whatever ministry director was involved, you know, whoever might be part of the story, some quotes about how they were involved, what touched them about the story, the future of whatever ministry it is, that type of thing. And then just a couple quotes scattered throughout. Those are some main tips. You can also call our office if you're wanting to write it. Those are the tips. You can also call us and give us the idea, and we can kind of walk through writing it as well. But if you want to get your hands on it.
Is there a certain length that is like appropriate?
So if we're specifically talking about the recorder, we're gonna look at probably 400 to 450 words. So we're going kind of short for a news story. We're going a little bit shorter as time goes on for the layout, but we're targeting about 400, max 450. So the shorter, the better. And we can always link to our website. We post all of our recorder stories on our website. So we can post a longer version, we can post pictures, we can post more stuff that doesn't fit in the print version on our website as well. So that's kind of, we do have a cap for that as well, but that's kind of the overall.
There you go. There you go, Jolene. I hope that helps. Jolene? One of those? I hope that helps. Oh yeah, thanks. That's helpful. Very good.
Cool.
By the way, if you are watching along and you have a question or something that you thought of that you've never had an opportunity to, I'm bringing Lauren Lacson straight to you in your house. So feel free to post up a question or a comment, and we'll go through them. Okay, Lauren, we're gonna do 3-2-1 right now. This is a 3-2-1 segment. If you're watching along, this is the time when you open your computer or you get on your phone to take notes, or you pull out a pencil and a pad of paper, because we're going to give you some really cool like tips. These are hacks that you can use to up your game in these particular areas. Lauren, are you ready to roll?
Let's go.
I want to invite you, Lauren, to pull out your notes if you got some. If you're ready for this, let's do this. All right.
Cool.
All right, Lendotti, welcome on. Good to see you here. Good to see you here. Okay, here we go. Give us 3 graphic design hacks that no, sorry. Let's do this. Give us 3 writing hacks that we can use right now to make our writing better. Someone's going to sit down and write. Maybe it's a publication, maybe it's a blog, I don't know. But what are 3 good hacks they could use to make their writing, my writing, our writing better?
So the first one is, especially let's talk about like maybe stories, if we're doing like a story. So sometimes it's hard to start, or you want to be super eloquent and it's like, how can I make this sound perfect, right? Yeah. But rather than focusing on that, then the best tip is to just think about, if you're writing a story, what if somebody walked up to you, or you got home at night and your family was asking, what's the story about? What would you say? So think about like, that will get you to the heart of the story. How would you explain it? What would you say? This is what this story is about. And that will help you get your thesis. And then you can kind of clean it up from there. But just write out first, what comes to your mind when people ask you, what is the story about? It'll help you get away from that pressure to write it out perfectly the first time.
Nice.
So that's one. So for 2, when writing, one really good way to have your writing stand out is to vary up your sentences. So don't start 5 sentences in a row with the word I. Don't make all of your sentences like half a paragraph long. Have a longer sentence and then a shorter sentence, one that's a little bit more active voice, one that's a little bit not all the way passive voice, but like kind of vary up your sentences. So you may have a certain writing style, but try to kind of shake it up as you go throughout the article.
You've destroyed every paper I've written in life, Lauren, by the way. Thank you.
It's not personal, but I'm just kidding.
You just hit me in the soft spot there, buddy.
That's not intentional. That's number 2. So number 3, there are a couple different words that we use in writing that are not necessarily needed. So one word that I see, it's only needed about half the time that we use it, is the word that. So a lot of times we use the word that, and it's like, oh, I told my mother that I was going to the store, or whatever. You could just say, I told my mother I was going to the store. So you can take out the word that probably 50% of the times that you use it. So that's just one of the words, but you can go through your writing. I don't know if you've ever heard that tip that like you can probably take out 1/3 of the things that you write in an email and still be able to send it, right? We write too much.
That's a good one right there.
So it's kind of like that. So you can take out a lot of the things that are included and just figure out if it still reads nice. So that's one.
Very good. So those were the 3 for writing, right? I hope you guys were able to write down some notes from that. That's some excellent tips there. I'm sure that, Jolene, you could probably apply some of that as well to what you were doing earlier. So that was fantastic. Okay, number 2, give us 2 hacks, 2 cool hacks, Lauren, that we can use right now to make our graphic designs better. If you could, why don't you define what a graphic design is for those who might be watching who may not know?
Yeah. So graphic design, as we're talking about it, is anything. So it can be a flyer, it can be a social media post, it can be sort of a website homepage, anything graphically. It covers a lot more than that. But in today's day and age, it's usually going to be an event. We don't really use flyers printed out so much now, but a Facebook post, social media post, anything that kind of is an image that you put together with information.
Okay,
it's not really a technical definition. Cool. So one that I like to do, if you're trying to really increase your skill in graphic design, one thing that I like to do is to try at least 3 designs. So if you're trying to do like a flyer for an event and you just put together a design, maybe hesitate a little bit before you just finalize it and send it off and think, how can I adjust this to a second version? Maybe the first one looks super modern. Maybe I can try a little bit more of a traditional one. Maybe I can try to tweak it and give it a different color scheme and a different kind of font style, and try to do at least 3 designs, because what I have found is that the creative process is not usually pretty in the beginning. So the creative process takes a little bit. And so I have found when I do this, that the third one is almost always the one I go with. I might really like the first one, But if I'm like, okay, I guess just so that I have options, I guess I'll try to come up with another and kind of push myself, even if I don't have any more ideas. And as it progresses, you'll find more options and you might even find something better. So always try to push yourself, come up with at least 3 as you're working on it. That's the first one.
That's a good one.
It'll help you grow in your creativity for
So
sure.
come up with more than one versions. Don't be satisfied with your first draft.
And if that's hard, I mean, you can try 2 or something, and be strict on it. But
yeah, none of us believe in our first draft. Nobody gets out of bed and goes straight to anywhere. That first draft is a little rough, ladies and gentlemen. It's true.
Rough.
We get up and we look in that mirror and we try to get our second draft before we leave our own houses. So
that's right.
All right.
That's right.
What's our second tip?
The second tip is, many of you may have heard if you use graphic design tools at all, but try to open a website called Canva, and you'll find a lot of different inspiration there.
That's fantastic, because Jolene just asked, are there free programs out there that we could use for design flyers? Excellent. Canva's a fantastic one. I learned about that more recently. Somebody just put it to me, and it totally upped my game, because before then I was looking through Google, and you'd be getting those pixelated, like, not allowed to use pictures that are owned by somebody else. But so does there happen to be another free program that they could use out there that would be a nice touch?
So Canva, in terms of the layout and graphic design, is probably the best. That's free. I know it's used by professionals as well as people who are just getting started a lot. So that's a good one. Maybe I'll answer it in this way. So when you talked about the power of Canva for the images that it provides, there's another website that is not for layout, but it provides really good free images. So it's called Pexels.com. Pexels. And so that one will kind of aggregate all of the different free stock photo websites that are licensed for you to use for free. So you can just search that one site. It'll pull up results from all of them. And there's also a way on Google under advanced search to find images on Google that you are allowed to use. Sometimes they're not as good as the ones on Pexels, but that's another way. So that's a tip to be able to find some images that you are able to use without worrying.
Very cool. They need to be able to use, there's a law or a rule of pictures they are allowed to use online and ones they're not, right? Because some people have no idea and they're just grabbing out whatever. And what is that? So what should people be searching for?
So on Google, when you go to images, you can go under, so there's like a couple different tabs under images, and then you can go all the way to the right and it says advanced search, or advanced settings or something. And then when you go under that, at the very bottom of that menu, there's an option for copyright settings or license settings or something like that. And you can just go, it's super easy. It just says what you're looking for. So free to use commercially, free to use personally, free to alter and use. So like whatever you want. Usually the basic one right after not able to use, it's I think just free to use personally or commercially is good. So just make sure to check that box, and then all your Google search results will be available. So you don't want to break copyright or licensing of any photos. You can get in trouble for doing that on some of your projects. So it's always good to be sure you're covered under that.
Absolutely. And Sarah went ahead and posted out Unsplash. Those are high quality photos. So if you happen to be looking for a high quality photo, go to Unsplash. They're fantastic. Okay, now give us one video editing hack to make our editing experiences better. For those of us that are working on edits and editing video, what's one hack that we could do that would make that experience better?
So one thing that I have found is that when you're doing a larger project and you have a lot of different B-roll, you have some different clips that you want to work with, scrubbing through or kind of looking for the best part of that footage in your timeline is a really big pain, and it can get super messy. So I changed the default file name of the image in my, I use a Mac, so in my Finder or whatever, wherever you're storing your files, I just change it to where the good part is. So if my, the good part of my footage is at 15 seconds, or if it's at 17 seconds, I just change my file name to like 17 to 20 or something, so that I know where exactly in the clip I'm going. So that saves a little bit of time.
Oh, wow, that is a good one. My friends, if you've ever had to scrub through a ton of video, what a genius move that this last tip is. Maybe you have a tip, feel free to pop it into our comments and let us know. We'd love to hear what you are doing to make your stuff better. But that one, Lauren, is genius, because you've got all this video footage that you've just taken, then you scrub through it and you're like making mental notes and notes somewhere else, but then you got to come back and you're just trying to get to that time frame. Whoo, is a lot of work. So love that idea, titling that particular file by the good pieces. Oh, genius. Annie, welcome. Annie, good to see you on. Annie Bernoth from Cambodia right now. She's just pointed out that a good friend of ours, Rod Long, shout out to Rod, has a great Unsplash, a great bunch of photos on Unsplash. He's one of the people that actually puts stuff in there. Yes, and for those of you who use it regularly, you may have already used some stuff from Unsplash by Rod and didn't even know it was his. Pono also, by the way, if you didn't know, Pono puts stuff in Unsplash as well, and it's good stuff.
And Pexels pulls in Unsplash too.
Yes. Hey, you know what time it is, Lauren? It's Love One, Leave One time.
Let's do it.
My friends, if you are watching along, every week we play this game called Love One, Leave One. And basically what I do is I present two options, and if you are watching along, you can play along by commenting which one of these two you would love, and the other thing then would have to leave for eternity. I'm going to ask these questions. Lauren, you're going to actually tell me. So I'm going to give you two things, and you have to choose which one you'll love. The thing you love will stay in your life, and you'll get to enjoy it for the rest of your life on a consistent basis. The thing you don't love will be left, and it will disappear from existence forever. Humanity can no longer enjoy that thing. All right?
Okay.
No pressure, Lauren, but whatever you choose, the rest of us can no longer use the other thing. All right?
I'll do my best.
Okay, my friends, for you, as you're playing along, I want you to drop some comments into the comment box. When I give the two, tell us which one you would love, which one you would keep as we go along, all right? And we only got a minute and a half, so you got to type fast. Lauren, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Tacos or French fries?
Tacos.
Ooh.
Love tacos.
Final Cut or Premiere?
Final Cut.
Oh.
Love Final Cut. You converted me.
Canon or Lumix?
Ooh. Canon. Canon.
No commas or too many commas?
Too many commas. If they're in the right spot.
Right. Nice car or nice clothes?
Ooh, nice clothes.
All right. Cool tech or riveting book?
Cool tech.
Ooh. Be stronger than your significant other, Ryan, or be faster than your significant other, Ryan? Be stronger or faster? I'm with Sarah and the French fries. Sarah, I'm
stronger?
with you. Stronger? Oh, you're a bully, dude. Ryan, run, man. All right. Intimate dinner out or big group gathering potluck?
Oh.
One of those disappears forever.
No.
Yes.
Group potluck.
Oh! I'm sorry, Ryan.
We can have an intimate dinner.
San Diego or Napa Valley?
San Diego or Napa Valley?
Yep.
You're getting me on this one. You know what to say to get me. I'm gonna say San Diego.
All right. Del Taco or Taco Bell?
Taco Bell, that's easy.
Nice work. Thank you guys for playing along. Thank you. That was good. That was good. How'd you feel through it? How'd you feel about it?
That was hard because, I mean, San Diego is like one of my number one vacation spots, but my college is in Napa Valley, so
yeah.
I mean, I want them both, but that's not the rules of the game.
Yep.
No, it was
good. And you
good.
chose San Diego.
I don't know how to answer for that.
Hey, speaking of, again, we send all of our love and our prayers to all the residents and the people who live up in the Napa Valley, to the firefighters, and just firefighters in general. We thank you so much for your work. We know that this season has been a trying and horrific time for all of you and the hard work that you do. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep working to be able to bring a firefighter on here sooner or later and just interview them, how this has been going for them, what's been keeping them together. And if you're watching along and you happen to be a firefighter, hit us up. We want to talk to you and just check up on your well-being and your fellow firefighters and all the work they do. You know what? Jolyn just put that Taco Bell stopped making potato tacos. And they
That
stopped
broke
the
my heart,
7-layer
actually.
and the Mexican pizza. Taco Bell.
They took all of everything. Like, that broke my heart. But
why'd you just get rid of the bean burrito and call yourself Bell? I mean, I'm not very happy with Taco Bell.
I've tried to transition to Del Taco since they took all my favorite stuff out.
Come on.
It's still not the same, though. Like, Taco Bell just, I don't know.
I know.
Not a loss.
I know. I was Team Taco Bell until very lately. Del Taco is looking better. Especially that Impossible Taco they got, or that Beyond Taco.
Oh, yeah. The Beyond Taco is good. I will say that.
Go ahead, Del Taco. Go ahead. Okay. Let's get back to a couple more questions. You know, our time is running out, my girl. Thank you so much for spending out this week with us. It's been really exciting. For those of you who are joining us or just jumping on, welcome on to Tuesday Tea Time. I'm hanging out with Lauren Lacson, the Communications Director for the Southern California Conference. She's a young adult professional female working here, doing some great things for our conference. Shout out to the Communications Department and her partner in crime, Araya Papaya. I want to talk about your wheelhouse, right? The thing that you're good at. So what is your strength in this particular area of communication? Communication is very broad and you do a lot because you're the director, but what is your thing?
One of my favorite things about communication, which I feel like where my strength comes in, this may or may not answer your question, but one of my favorite things is seeing the big picture and matching that with the small details. Because usually it's like one or the other, but kind of combining the two and just kind of seeing like how our social media is playing over with our print publications, or like kind of like how everything is working together. So kind of seeing that big picture and then seeing the quality and the small details of each individual one. When it comes to an area, if that's what you mean, I mean, writing, not video editing, but like writing would probably have to be the number one.
And you chose to love no commas. Is that what you chose, as opposed to too many commas, or did you choose to love too many commas?
I chose too many commas if they're in the right place. Yeah, because if there's no commas,
that's the rule. They don't get to be in the right place, Lauren. They just get to be everywhere. They just get to be everywhere.
So like no commas at all? Like ever?
Like no commas. You just have to keep going until you get to the period.
Or
no,
I have to
just
choose
random commas every
case.
other word.
Neither. I mean, my editor's heart can't in good conscience choose one of the two. But no, I think I would definitely choose more commas. I really like just punctuation in general, like specifically, like, so whether it's a comma, a semicolon, M-, colon, like whatever it is, like using those all in the right way. I get really nerdy over that. So yeah.
Very cool. So since we're in this area, I want to ask, what is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to your area of expertise? What is something that gets you in your nerves? And this may be something that applies to me because we work together all the time. So what is one of your biggest pet peeves?
One of my biggest pet peeves is the thing about communication, whether it's editing, writing, it's all in the same family. Any of that, social media, any of the things we do, somehow it's a really attractive field for people to kind of think that it's easy and it's not something you have to be trained in, because we all have Facebook and we've all been on social media and we all had to write papers for school. So it's something I can do. And so, I mean, people can do it, but kind of like missing the art of it and that kind of thing. It's kind of like somebody using Google as a medical dictionary and thinking they're a doctor, like that kind of thing. Like
my wife gets that all the time.
That one kind of gets me. Self-proclaimed, huh?
Yeah.
That one I would say gets me.
What's something that you wished all of our churches in our conference would do, and how do you think that would affect the kingdom work that's happening?
I I think that I'll preface it by saying I think COVID, this situation that
Yeah.
we're in right now,
Yeah.
with all the negative that it brings with it, I do think that it's helping our churches to get more into their digital presence, which is what my answer would be. All of our churches, my wish would be that they would spend as much time on really optimizing and strategically managing their website and their
Mm.
social media platforms and their online presence as much as they do structuring their worship service, whether that's live streamed or in person, structuring their sermons and structuring all this different stuff, kind of putting as much equal energy into all their other ministries as they do into online presence. So really building that up. I think that would affect our ministry overall, the kingdom work that we're all doing here in Southern California, by really helping our churches to do ministry, to have a wider sphere of influence, and to bring more people into the church. Because what I think some people might not maybe realize is that the way that people feel when they visit our website or the interactions they have with us on our social media channel can impact whether we'll have the privilege to interact with them any further. So
Mm.
whatever they feel with our interactions on our website, whatever perception they get when they go to our website will impact whether they step foot in our church at all or open up our live stream or whatever the case may be. If they don't really feel like they mesh with us, or they don't see a website that's been updated, or they see some of these other things, they might just not give us another chance. And so it kind of weakens our influence in that way. So
Mm.
that's what my answer would be.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to shoot through a couple quick ones as we're closing out our time together, Lauren. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And thank you all for catching up with us here at Tuesday Tea Time. Feel free to continue commenting as we go. Lauren, what's something that you wished you would have known or which you would have learned much earlier in life? Now that you're an old professional, seasoned veteran, what's something you wish you'd have learned much earlier?
One thing I wish I would have learned earlier is that humility, especially like as young adults, this is something I think
Yeah.
that is important for us to grasp. I think humility is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself.
Ooh.
And I realize that because like as young adults, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like young adults in general, sometimes we get in our minds that we know everything. And so we think like, I can do this, and we can do what we put our minds to, but it's like we think that we know everything. And I've realized that we know a lot and we have a lot to bring to the table, but some of the people that have gone before us might have different ideas, different perspective, but they have some things that we don't have to bring to the table. And so
Right.
it's not just the generational differences, but there's differences between every one of us, and there's always something we can learn. So rather than going at situations like, with almost too much confidence, I
Mm.
think just humility is not like putting ourselves down or anything, or taking away what we know. But it's not really the opposite of confidence,
Yeah.
but it's really an asset to bring to any situation.
Yeah, it's being malleable, being willing to learn, recognizing that you don't know it all. To
Yeah.
know that you don't know it all is really important to being able to learn something new and to progress, right?
Yep.
What is something that you've learned about relationships since you've gotten married? Something that you didn't quite grasp until you got married?
I would say it's a similar answer. I would say humility comes along with it too, but yeah, it's definitely a partnership and a privilege. I would say it's like, yeah, it's awesome, and we all want to have that partner and get married so that we can have compatible, or so that we can have like somebody with us all the time, and we can have all these experiences together. But it's just an interaction about what you can give. That's what I
Mm.
have found. So sometimes we think like, oh, I want this in a partner, I want this, which is not wrong.
Yeah, right.
But going beyond what we want, it's about what can I give, and sometimes
Yeah,
we think a lot about what we want to get, but a really large portion of the relationship, I think, is what we can give as well,
yeah,
and how we can really give and take both,
yeah.
how we can help make each other better, because we're on the same journey, we're going in the same direction. So it's like, let's find how we can go the same direction and help each other get there, most effectively. So
Nice. Very good and very true. Most of us make lists about what we want in a person and don't realize that person also has a list. And
yeah.
so being willing to give and not just take. Everything looks good on paper, but it takes work. It's good work. It's good work. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
thankful
worth it.
I got somebody who's willing to work with me. I'm a pain in the butt. All right. Moving on. Hey, Jillian popped on. Aloha, aloha. Late, but good to have you on, Jill. Okay, what's something that you know what? Because we're actually coming down to our time limit, I wanted to ask you a couple questions on the church. What hopes do you see for our church? As you look around, as you've heard stories, what brings you hope, Lauren?
When I see different stories about like how our churches are reaching outside of themselves. So I think like when people come in and we kind of like work within ourselves, we do that work with among ourselves. I think that's important. But when I see churches really making a concerted effort to get outside of themselves, it's really easy in Adventism to kind of stick together, and
Yeah.
we need to stick together.
Yeah.
But I think like when I see churches and individuals really making an effort to get outside of themselves and to kind of venture out and pull other people in, and really invite them in and see what their needs are, making it not just about like, come join my church, but come, let me see like what you need. Like, how can I help
Yeah.
you? How can I minister to you? Like, so kind of seeing that as we continue to kind of get outside of ourselves and do that ministry, that the method that Jesus followed, he met people's needs first. That's what it was about. It wasn't like, okay, what church are they a part of? And how easily can I bring them to mine? Like, it's
Right,
about
right,
like, what do
right.
they need and what do I have that can help meet that?
So on the flip side, what do you think our church in general, what's a growth area that our church in general has?
I think on the flip side, it's kind of two sides of the same coin because
Very good.
while I definitely see that and it's definitely happening a lot, there's an area where we still need to grow in that because as Adventists, like we are kind of used to our world. And so
Yeah.
I think like we have our jargon, we have our programs, we have what's meaningful to us, right? But I think like continuing to venture out and kind of break that comfort zone open, we need to just kind of go further. I still think that although that's happening, that's a big area of growth that is not something we should take for granted that we're there already. It's not something that maybe we've arrived, but I think that's still a growth area to just continue and make those connections and reach those areas.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren, for your time. I'm going to ask you one final question as we round out our time together. By the way, if you're just catching up with us, hey, welcome on. It's never too late. I'm with Lauren Lacson, the Director for Communications here at Southern California Conference, who is rocking out and doing a great job. Lauren, would you share some words of inspiration out there to the little Laurens of the world who is coming up into their own, the little Jillians, the little Sarahs, the little Annies, the little Jalens, these ones that are just coming into their own? Would you share some words of encouragement and empowerment and speak into their world a little bit here as we close out?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that God has really been impressing upon me lately, it has to do with the story of Jonah. I'm not going to make this a super long sermon, but
Dang, girl, I said we were closing out. Come on now. No.
but in Jonah's life, one thing that you notice is that I'm not encouraging this, but he runs from the work that God gave him, literally in the other direction, right? And yet when he comes around, however begrudgingly that might be, he fails and fails, and then he finally comes and he's like, all right, look, I'm gonna do the work. I can't get away from it, and it's
Right.
not the best attitude, but we sometimes feel like, oh, I mean, I'm failing and failing and failing, and this is what I want to do, and I'm trying to do this great work, and it's just not working out, And sometimes we have these failures, but what I would encourage you is just that he doesn't look for people who are super amazing and super skilled and super talented. Sure, that helps. But what God is looking for is he's looking for people he can use. So if people are super skilled and talented and really confident, sometimes that can get in the way. So God just wants somebody he can use either
Wow.
way. So whether you feel like you failed or whatever it might be, or that you may feel like you don't have what it takes, God can and will use anybody. So just ask him, to use you, and he'll be glorified as he works through you, and he'll be able to show you what you can do if you allow him to work through you. So don't be discouraged if you feel like you failed or things aren't working out the way that you want them to, or 2020 has taken over your plans, or whatever the case may be. God has a plan for you, and he wants to be able to use you. So don't fret, and just allow him to take control and go along for the ride.
Man, Lauren, thank you so much. That was awesome. If you are rounding out the day, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. I want to thank you for all of your great, thoughtful questions, your comments, and I want to thank Lauren for being totally amazing today and sharing. You're getting some comments of support and uplift here as they are sharing. Lauren, I want to ask you just at the end, if you would just go back through the comments. If we've missed anything, if you could help answer it and share it, or comment and help them through some of those things. That would be good. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great Tuesday afternoon hanging and talking with the precise Lauren Lacson. Don't forget, next week, join us. I'm going to be hanging out with Pastor Jamie and his wife, Carlene. We're going to be talking about relationships, the pitfalls, the hopes, tips, tricks, and things you can do to keep your marriage healthy, alive, and well, and in faith. It's going to be fantastic. Don't miss out. Until then, stay well, my friends. Happy Tuesday. Happy week. We'll catch you on the rebound. Lauren, thank you, my girl.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.